All right, Shalom. It's a brother Kushab coming back at you with another quick lesson. Now, before I get started, I want to give all praises, glory, infinite honors unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Thomas Truth, and well, and peace, blessings, salutations be to the hopefully elect, as well as those that believe in the gospel, and may you endure it to the end, Lord willing. All right. Now, I just wanted to get into a quick lesson, all right, on, revenge or vengeance, all right? And this is why, thus said the Lord, that vengeance is his, man, all right? In particular, why we are to wait until he rises us up to the prey, man, all right? Because, in the eyes of us, all right, even in the eyes of the scriptures, all right, the scriptures thus said, it gives you the law, all right, on how to deal with, a murder, okay, or killing, all right, which we're gonna get into it a little bit, but in which, I've seen a couple brothers do lessons on this topic. The guy Rodney Hinton, okay, he allegedly ran over a police officer, exact police officer that wound up killing his son, all right, in which I looked into the actual story of the police killing his son, which they said, as they do Jake, man, all right, in which, this is a part of us being under the curses, in Deuteronomy 28 that tell us that, we should have, roughly paraphrasing, we're going to be troubled in the cities, man, but, the son was allegedly running from the police, all right, and then I was just reading it, all right. Now I'll just get the point. It says, right. It says the officer who fired told the investigators that the suspect pointed a gun at him, the suspect being the guy's son. All right, it pointed a gun at him during the chase, said Cincinnati's police chief. Body camera video of the shooting released by police Friday showed one officer could be heard saying, he's got a gun, before several shots were fired as Ryan Hinton was running behind an apartment complex. There was no indication that he fired at police before he was shot, all right? And, plain and simple, man, all right? Guy running from the police, and for brothers that seen a video, all right, of this guy, when he was actually looking at these different police officers up and down in the face, you can see that these certain of these dudes are devils, man, all right? You can see them devils, man, red devils, man, all right? In which they tried to intimidate this guy, but now they actually seeking to give him the death penalty, all right, and ultimately make him an example of what not to do, all right, or what not to be, man, and this is why, I'm doing this lesson, because it's important for us not to take vengeance on our own, all right, even though we are wronged, all right, even though that, we get the short end of the stick pretty much on everything. Hey, man, we not to take vengeance on our own, man, because these things can happen to us, right? And, brothers have children, families, and ultimately using wisdom, we just got to wait on the Lord, man, That's all we got to do, man. And he gonna be the one to set things right and to avenge us, man, But, yeah, that was pretty much it for this. I wanted to go into Numbers, the 35th chapter, all right, in which, this is why the Lord, he ultimately set up these, the laws, statutes, and commandments to show how to govern the people and certain things, man, all right, especially dealing with all situations that you may come across in life, all right. Now, it says, I'll start at 15, all right, in which it goes into the cities of refuge for somebody who does commit an act of murder or kills someone, all right, until, we're going to get into it. This are Numbers 35 and 15. It says, these 6 cities shall be a refuge both for the children of Israel and for the stranger and for the sojourner among them, that everyone that killeth any person unawares may flee thither, all right. So you accidentally kill somebody, all right, this is a city of refuge where you can go where, nobody can seek your life, right? Because instances like what happened with this man and his son ultimately being killed by a police officer, let's say it was which we know it's not accidental, man, because it happens way too often. But let's just say, for instance, that it was, he would be in this city. This is why the Lord set it up this way, that he'd be in that city for, I believe it's till the priest of that city dies, and then he have to return back, But yeah, so that's where he can go, and he can and live so that no vengeance happen, right? Which is going to say that. Now, verse 16, it says, and if he smite him with an instrument of iron so that he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death, right? So if somebody, it says iron, right? It's going to go into it. It says, if he smite him with a thorn stone, wherewith he may die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he smite him with an hand weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely put to death. The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meeteth him, he shall slay him. All right, so in the NLT, it says the victim's nearest relative is responsible for putting the murderer to death. So, if you slay a man with a gun, all right, a sword, okay, which the gun is the modern day sword, well, you're a murderer, man, okay? Because, you can get into a fight, altercation, whatever, but, things are so polluted, and it's so backwards now that doesn't even exist, all right? The scriptures clearly tell you what to do, what happens to murderers, all right, and what happens to people who may accidentally do something, right? Now it says, but if he thrust him of hatred or hurl him by laying of weight that he die, or in enmity smite him with his hand that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death. You see, because there's no such thing as accidentally shooting somebody, man. All right? There's no such thing as accidentally using a sword, a stone, a brute object to kill somebody, man. That's murder. You intended to do it, you see? But it says, or an enmity with him in his hand, I read that, all right? It says, he that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meeteth him. But if he thrust him suddenly without enmity, or cast upon him anything without laying of weight, or with any stone wherewith a man may see, seeing him not, and cast it upon him that he died, and was not his enemy, neither saw his harm, the congregation shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgment. All right, so in the NLT it says in verse 24, if this should happen, the community must follow these regulations in making a judgment between the slayer and the avenger, the victim's nearest relative. The community must protect the slayer from the avenger and must escort the slayer back to live in the city of refuge to which he fled. There he must remain until the death of the high priest who was anointed with the sacred oil. But if the slayer leaves the limits of the city of refuge and the avenger finds him outside the city and kills him, it will not be considered murder. The slayer should have stayed inside the city of refuge until the death of the high priest, but after the death of the high priest, the slayer may return to his own property. These are legal requirements from you to observe from generation to generation, wherever you may live. All right, and this is why things were to be the way they were, right? Because if something happened accidentally, all right, there was a refuge for you to go, so nobody wouldn't take revenge, man. All right, but if you were guilty, if you intentionally did something, you murdered someone, well, you must be murdered, man. All right, and by someone of that bloodline, all right, the nearest relative, whether it be a brother, a father, okay, an uncle, whatever it may be. These are those that were meant to take revenge, okay? And which is why you have Jake in that mindset now. Oh, you killed my brother, I'm going to kill you, right? Because, that's just a natural way or order of things and how we think, man, all right? But even we're not even supposed to have that harm toward ourselves, okay? Let alone the other nations be involved, right? Which is why I said at the top, any stranger or sojourner. So this goes for everyone. And we are the rulers, the governors, all right, the judges. And through us, the Lord established the law. And the other nations, okay, we establish the law to them, which is why in the kingdom of heaven, once Israel is back on top ruling, they are going to have to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments. They're going to have to follow righteousness, because all of these things that were meant to govern us is good. These are the right way to deal with things, man. You see? But by the earth being out of course, all right, in which, I personally believe that, what this guy did to avenge his son, it was right, man. All right, as we just read in the scriptures, that's right, man. All right, because he was clearly murdered. All right, they're gonna say whatever they got to say to cover up what they could cover up. All right, but he was clearly running away from the police, right? Even if he had a gun, it wasn't no evidence of him shooting at him. So you still shoot and kill this guy's son, and he's looking at the death penalty for avenging his son. Well, the scriptures clearly say that that's right? But on the other side of the coin, we are in captivity, all right? We are not ruling, you see? So it might have been righteous according to the scriptures, but the Lord said, look, just wait on me, all right? And that's what we have to do, man. We have to wait on the Lord, man, all right? This Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 8, it says, therefore wait ye upon me, said Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey, all right? In the NLT, it says, soon I will stand and accuse these evil nations. You see? So we have to wait on the Lord, man, because the Lord is going to be the one to give us justice. All right. He's going to be the one to plead our cause, man. All right. And that's all we got to do, man. It may seem hard now, but hey, man, we just got to bet at indignation, because we the ones that went off and didn't do what we were supposed to do. You see? But it says, I'll read it out. It says, for my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation. Even all my fierce anger for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. All right. And, I wanted to get this one in Genesis, I believe 49, with Judah being roused up, because that's another point of the aspect too. We can see Jake being roused up, and hey, man, once the Lord roused Jacob, man, it's going to be hella telecaptain, man, like the elders say, because ain't nobody going to be able to turn Jake down or turn Jake away, Men's course of action standing in their power. But the Lord has to rouse them up, and we can see, the Lord definitely had the spirit on this guy, man. When you go and you look into that video, and he wasn't remorseful, all right? He looked every single one of these devils in the eye, all right, and made them feel him. All right, if you catch my drift, But it says Genesis 49, it says Judah 49:9, Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey. My son, thou art gone up. He stooped down as a couch, as a lion, and as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? All right, and who's gonna rouse Judah up, man? It's gonna be these nations, stirring. We've seen things like we talked about this at camp, right? We've seen things happen with Rodney King, George Floyd, all right? But once the Lord puts his hand in it, it ain't going to be no stopping, man, all right? 2 Esdras 15 and 16 is going to be in full effect, all right? These race wars, okay? These things are coming, man, all right? And it's just a small inkling of things to come, But that's pretty much the point, I don't want to be long-winded. That's pretty much all the precepts I wanted to bring out. So, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying, that you can understand, the laws on killing or murderers and things that, that can happen, whether it's accidentally or whether it's intentional, man. And the Lord established this for a reason, you see. But, that was pretty much the point. I don't want to write this out. This lesson was edifying, man. Until next time, give all praises, glory, infinite honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rakakwadash. The honors once again to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings.